Records that will never be broken again. Number 1, the woman with the most children. Back in the 1800s, a Russian woman named Vasilyev gave birth to 69 total children. She had 16 pairs of twins, 7 triplets, and 4 quadruplets. And no one has come close to matching that number since. Number 2, the most nuclear explosions ever survived. This is Tsutomu Namaguchi. He has survived 2 different nuclear explosions.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. Let me break it down for you guys, man. We break down what the most scariest and creepy videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. New month, man. We're in September. Thank you guys for all the support you guys showed me in August. Greatly appreciate it, man. Let's keep that going. Make sure you guys comment down below. Watch the video entirely, man. Most importantly, hit that thumbs button. Without further ado, Seekers, let's do what we do best, y'all. Y'all know what we're about to say, man. It's only right. You guys know what we do here. Let's seek the truth.
Bring facts that will ruin your life. Baby chicks, while very sweet, are often grinded up. In many large factories, if they're baby roosters, they're just tossed into a grinder. Pretty gross. Did you know that in the United States alone, every year, around 2,500 people die from using right-handed equipment that were originally left-handed? Sucks to be left-handed. George Bush Sr. was the only man to survive after his plane was shot down in World War II by Japanese soldiers. Out of the 9 men that were cannibalized and eaten on by Japanese soldiers, Bush was somehow the only one to survive. Hopefully you like boogers, because Inuit mothers actually suck the snot out of their baby's nose. Nasty. Did you know there's actually 200 corpses right now on Mount Everest? Due to the body's elevation, they're actually left up there and perfectly preserved to the extreme climate and temperatures. They're used as guide points for climbers and hikers. Comment and let me know which fact disturbed you the most.
Basically, it's a graveyard, man.
This is without a doubt the creepiest mugshot I've ever seen. This is 33-year-old Solomon Galligan. He is an S offender that tried to kidnap a little boy from an elementary school in Colorado. This entire ordeal happened last Friday, and he went up to multiple children. Before police arrived, he tried to grab the young boy and flee, but that was unsuccessful, so he just fled to begin with. He was later caught by police and charged with 1 count of kidnapping. As a result, the elementary school and the surrounding areas are increasing security and police presence. But bro, this mugshot is definitely the creepiest shit I've ever seen. There's not a single feeling of remorse or regret in those eyes. He's now being held on a $25,000 bond. He had a similar incident in 2012 and he failed to register as an offender. Now, luckily, the little boy that he tried to kidnap was unharmed. And this also happened while the kids were at recess. I'm not sure how this happened. I feel like when I was growing up in recess, all of the teachers would be watching us.
Yeah.
They definitely need to step up security. Let me know what you guys think about this case in the comment section below. And as always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
Movie bloopers that are better than the actual movie. In The Dark Knight, while Joker sits in a jail cell, he overhears Detective Gordon get promoted to commissioner. Naturally, the rest of his squad applauds him, but then they hear the Joker clapping in the background. The Joker's creepy clap wasn't in the script, but it fit the scene so well they kept it in. In the show Friends, Matthew Perry actually hits his head on a filing cabinet.
Please, just...
Well, this was a total accident, and Jennifer Aniston's reaction was completely genuine. In this scene in Spider-Man Homecoming, Tony Stark leans over to open the door, but Peter Parker hugs him instead. This wasn't in the script, but Tom Holland thought it would be funny, which led to Robert Downey Jr. improvising this line on the spot.
That's not a hug, I'm just grabbing the door for you. We're not.
Classic.
In How the Grinch Stole Christmas, in this scene, everything was supposed to fall off when Jim Carrey pulled the tablecloth. But it didn't go as planned, so he had to improvise. This wasn't in the script, but it was so funny they kept it in. Records that will never be broken again. Number 1, the woman with the most children. Back in the 1800s, a Russian woman named Vasilyev gave birth to 69 total children. She had 16 pairs of twins, 7 triplets, and 4 quadruplets. And no one has come close to matching that number since. Number 2, the most nuclear explosions ever survived. This is Tsutomu Namaguchi. He has survived 2 different nuclear explosions. Tsutomu was on a business trip when the first nuclear bomb was dropped on Hiroshima in 1945. After miraculously surviving that explosion, he returned to his hometown of Nagasaki just in time to witness the second atomic bombing. But again, he miraculously survived and lived till the age of 93.
That's rough.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. One of your photos that you have today will be used in your funeral. There are more slaves today than any other time in history. According to the founder of the Walk Free Foundation, there are 46 million slaves in the world today.
Oh.
Your eyes can still move after your death for 15 to 30 seconds. Watching TV for more than 2 hours a day can shorten your life expectancy by 1.4 years. In 1977, we received a radio signal from space that lasted 42 seconds. To this day, no one knows where that signal came from. A lit candle causes more than 15,000 house fires every year. Spider rain could happen at any moment above you. Bill Skarsgård, who played Pennywise in the 2017 version of It, was born in 1990, the year the original It was released. Yeah.
Those are some creepy coincidences, man. Spider rain? I've never heard of something like that before, but I definitely don't want to experience that, man. Imagine you just walking outside, normal day, just see a whole bunch of freaking spiders coming down. You like, what in the world is this world coming to, man? How does something like that even happen?
If you see him while you're awake, run. So this story actually comes from a Reddit user who's a therapist. And this user had a patient who was coming in complaining of seeing Hatman at night. This patient would apparently wake up in the middle of the night to see Hatman standing at the foot of their bed, watching them sleep. And as a result, they were not really sleeping much. So the therapist prescribed some pretty heavy sleeping medication, and as a result, the patient starts getting a little better. But then one day, the patient comes in and just looks like they had seen a ghost. So the therapist asked them what was wrong, and they said that as they were getting in the car to come to therapy, they saw Hatman standing across the street during the day. This therapist had only ever heard of Hatman when it came to patients waking up in the middle of the night and seeing him, never when they were already awake doing things in the middle of the day. So the patient is terrified, but the therapist thinks this might be a side effect of the medication. It takes a little while to get used to. But that was the last time the patient ever came to see the therapist.
Yeah, man, is he real? Cap.
Scary facts that will blow your mind, part 2. The Hoia Baciu Forest is considered the most haunted forest in all of Romania. Hundreds of people have gone missing within these woods, among other things like screams, laughter, babies crying, people being attacked by unseen paranormal forces, strange balls of light, UFOs, and in the very center of the forest lies a clearing where no plant life will grow. It is believed that this spot is a portal to another dimension. What do you think? Like and follow for more.
Okay, that one, the most haunted freaking forest of Romania, man, where all those plants not growing and how they said it can be ported there. I definitely want to check up on that one because that sounds interesting, man. Like, no plants are going in that whole open area. That space is just like a freaking, look like a crop circle. What do you guys think? Is that a dimension to another
incident
reality?
has made people on the internet so upset because this woman went up to a teen and pulled down her skirt because she thought it was too short. Even if you think this skirt is too short, I think we can all agree that you cannot go up to a child and touch them. The teen said that this woman approached her from behind and basically put her hand in her area. This woman, who is a 49-year-old Ida Lorenzo, said to the girl and her friends, "I happen to work for the state, and if I have to see your cheeks hanging out again, I will call CPS."
I happen to work for the state, and if I have to watch your cheeks hanging out again, I will call CPS. You don't need to touch her.
Now, let's be real for a second. If this was a man who did this to a young girl, police would be called immediately and there would be no excuses. They were waiting at a restaurant to be seated and she basically felt like it was inappropriate for this young girl to be dressed like this in front of everyone. Which, if you feel that way, then you can leave. You should never be putting your hands on anyone. She was eventually charged with sexual battery, which I'm glad, because you can't be putting your hands on anyone, especially kids.
She said it perfectly. No words needed on that clip. Everything to a T.
Here are 5 regular things that are illegal in North Korea. Number 1, wearing jeans. In North Korea, wearing jeans is a symbol of their enemy America. Number 2, turning off the radio. All houses come with a government-installed radio that makes announcements through the day. Number 3, practicing religion. Reading a Bible can get you publicly executed. Number 4, watching foreign films. Watching foreign films can get you executed or sent to a labor camp. And number 5, listening to foreign music. All music has to be Kim Jong-un approved. As you were taught that you probably
Never
still
going to
believe.
North Korea.
Number 1, that cracking your knuckles will cause arthritis. While cracking your knuckles might sound and look damaging, it does not cause arthritis. That loud pop that you hear when you crack your knuckles is caused by bubbles bursting in your synovial fluid, and the bubbles pop when you pull the bones apart. Blood in your veins is blue. If you look down at your arm, you can probably see your veins and see they look blue. However, your blood is not actually blue in your veins. Blood is either red or dark red, but never blue. Your veins look blue because of your skin. Blue light does not penetrate human tissue as deeply as red light does, and as a result, veins that are close to the surface of the skin will be more likely to reflect blue light back to your eyes. You can hear the sound of the ocean in shells. This is a myth. The sound you hear when you put a shell against your ear has nothing to do with it being from the ocean. It's actually part of the background noise around you, just turned up a little bit by the shell. So if you're next to the ocean, the shell picks up the sound of the ocean, the alpha wolf. There's actually no such thing as an alpha wolf. This idea was brought about in a paper from the 1970s, but the author later said in a paper that he rejected the idea of an alpha wolf. While it's true that multiple wolves who share a small space in captivity will develop alpha and beta-like hierarchies, wild wolves behave nothing like this. In the wild, a wolf pack is typically formed by monogamous parents and their puppies, and the wolf pack is basically a tightly knit family consisting of parents or breeders and their offspring, not an alpha and beta.
We need to talk about...
Hey man, those facts, those were blowing my freaking reality wide open, man. I've always when you used to put a shell up to your ear, they always used to say that like you were here in the ocean. That's another piece of our childhood gone. And I remember seeing freaking blue veins. Yeah, I remember when I was a kid. Sometimes I would see blue. I'm like, is our blood blue? I said, how come when we bleed, it's never blue? So I learned that very early on, man. But we learning out here today. I like that.
Sex tourism. So if you don't understand what this is the practice of elderly men and women from America or other countries traveling to more undeveloped countries where the ages of consent are much lower, and then purchasing children to do things with. These are just some of the men who have been caught on camera doing these things. And this opens up a disturbing thought. I mean, you think you know somebody, but what are they doing in these foreign countries? Because laws were passed in the 2000s that outlawed this practice, meaning that if you committed an act with a child in a foreign country, the United States government can still prosecute you. But there was a great documentary made by Chris Hansen where they followed a wealthy American doctor over, I think it was in the Philippines, one of those countries, and caught him in the act of purchasing a child. And then they followed him back to the United States where he had a full family, he ran a successful practice, and he was then turned over to the authorities. But all you have to do is look at this and the low ages of consent in so many different countries. And just recently, a North Dakota lawmaker was caught doing this in the Czech Republic. So how many children have to be hurt before more action is taken against this whole thing? Every single year, the statistics show that over 1 million children are abused as a part of this system. 1 million children. Imagine a group of 1 million children. All of their lives completely changed forever. Every single year. Every year. And these sick bastards get away with it time and time again.
Now, I don't know what I can necessarily do to stop this from happening, but I can inform people and try to get these videos out, because this is incredibly disturbing stuff. And I'm going to talk more about this guy in my next TikTok.
Curtain number 1.
Trying to find a loophole. Disgusting.
Wait. You don't remember what she looks like.
How rare is your body? Let's find out. About 75% of people have a deviated septum, and this is a condition in which the bone and cartilage that divide the nose in half are crooked, making one nasal passage smaller than the other, and it's known to cause nosebleeds, problems breathing, or loud breathing when you're sleeping. Less than 1% of people have an extra finger crease, and it's also called camptodactyly, and it's just when you have an extra little ridge on your fingers, and it is most common on your pinky.
Ooh.
Less than 1% of people have an eyeball scar. This is also called a macular pucker, and it's just scar tissue that forms in your eye. And it's known to cause blurred or distorted vision. And it's caused when the vitreous, which is the gel-like part of your eye, starts to pull away from the retina. Less than 1% of people can hear colors or see sounds. For example, this could happen as soon as someone hears a sound, they automatically see the color red, or as soon as they read a word, a certain color pops into their mind. About 33% of people experience motion sickness, and this 33% are highly susceptible to motion sickness, while the rest just experience it in extreme conditions. And it's caused when your brain starts to get signals from your body that it's moving, but they're mismatched and don't match up.
Here are some Disney Channel stars that went to...
Do I have any of those? Or is any of the Seeker's body is weird, man? Does they have that extra, they said, I guess cartilage on your pinky or eyeball scars? I didn't even know an eyeball could get a scar.
To jail, but each time the crime gets worse. Starting off, Mitchell Musso, who played Oliver Oken in Hannah Montana, was pulled over in 2011 for driving under the influence. He was only 20 at the time and was arrested and released on bail. Because of this, his character was written out of Parrot Kings, and his show Prank Stars was canceled. Next up, Adam Hicks, who played Luther on Zeke and Luther and had a starring role in Lemonade Mouth, was arrested a couple times, but most recently for an armed robbery with his girlfriend. His sentencing was delayed multiple times due to mental health evaluations and was eventually given a 5-year sentence. But he's now currently on parole and making music on TikTok. Moving on, Lindsay Lohan was Disney's golden child in the early 2000s, starring in iconic movies such as The Parent Trap, Freaky Friday, and Mean Girls, before getting into trouble with the law. She's been arrested for driving under the influence, drug possession, violating her probation, a theft charge, and has even had a bench warrant out for her arrest. And finally, Phil Lewis, who played Mr. Mosby on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, was arrested and charged for vehicle manslaughter after killing a 21-year-old girl while drunk driving. When they tested his blood alcohol, it was 3 times the legal limit. He was originally given a 5-year sentence, 2 years of probation, and 350 hours of community service, but ended up only serving 1 year due to his work with prison-based theater groups that performed in jails, churches, and schools to highlight the consequences of drug abuse.
After breaking up in the 50s,
Childhood.
these two high school sweethearts are now newlyweds at 82 and 85. Eddie and Caroline dated for years in high school, and they spent so much time together that Caroline was known as Eddie's girl around their Nashville town. And when Eddie graduated a few years before Caroline, she had hoped for his class ring as a sign of commitment, but Eddie wasn't ready, and he was about to leave their hometown for the ROTC program at the University of Tennessee. When he dropped her off at her house one evening in 1959 without giving her a class ring and with no mention of the future, Caroline knew that their relationship was over. She says that she recalls running into her house and crying for that entire night. And then the two went on to live completely separate lives, including Caroline winning Miss Nashville the same year that Eddie left. In 1961, they both married other people and shortly thereafter had children and raised families. Eddie spent 21 years as a pilot in the Air Force, and Caroline became an interior designer and an author. But in 2001, Caroline lost her husband, and in 2021, Eddie lost his wife. A year later, in 2022, Eddie felt compelled to reach out to Caroline, and he says he called 9 times before she answered, but when she did, the spark was still there. With 6 decades of catching up to do, they met back up in Nashville, and just 3 months later, Eddie asked her to marry him. He wanted to get her a traditional engagement ring, but she said that all she wanted was his high school class ring, just like all those years ago. Now, as newlyweds in their 80s, they say that they feel just like kids again. I'm Jen, and I post something positive every day.
That's true love. Really, works through. They found each other, man, after all that time. Can you even imagine that, living separate lives? You come back and marry your first love. That was a great story. We need something positive every day.
Mason TV was able to trick Spotify into sending him Harry Styles' 1 billion streams plaque, so he decided to put it to good use. He created a TikTok account with the username SecretSue94, later changed to Sue Manella, playing on Harry Styles' nickname Sue, known within his fandom. He created multiple vines Harry made in 2013, adding subtle clues like a drawn-on cross tattoo to make it seem more authentic, and even getting pink carpet for his stairs to match Harry's stairs. He developed a multiverse of fake TikTok accounts for Harry's friends to lend credibility to the main account. He went to great lengths, including dressing up as Harry, painting his nails, and having fake paparazzi photos taken to show Harry with a Spotify plaque and using TikTok on his phone, which helped him spread the belief in the account. Overnight, fans all over social media and even major media outlets were speculating about its authenticity. Millions of people talking about the account led it to going viral and amassing over 600,000 followers.
This man left his 2-year-old toddler in a hot car while he went to go play video games. Not only is this case super disturbing because of what he was doing while his 2-year-old daughter was strapped in this hot boiling car, but apparently he's done this so many times before. It all happened on July 9th when 37-year-old Christopher Schultz arrived home at 12:50 and his daughter was strapped into her car seat and she was sleeping, so he decided to leave her in there because he did not want to wake her up, and he had left the AC on as well. Christopher's wife Erica arrived home at 4 p.m. from work and she found their 2-year-old daughter still strapped in the car. At this point, this poor little girl was already gone, and when paramedics arrived, there was nothing they could really do. Now, while Christopher claims that the AC was on, it turns out that it actually turned off only 30 minutes after he left to go inside. This means that she was left in this 180-degree boiling car for about 2.5 hours. At first, Christopher lied and said that he had left her in there for about 30 to 45 minutes and had checked up on her multiple times, but after they investigated and saw home surveillance footage of a neighbor, they noticed that she was actually in there for about 3 hours.
How long was she sleeping in the car out there? I want to say it was no more than 30-45 minutes. And I don't think their air was off that entire time. I think there was a time in between. I had checked on her last. It was still running. She was still sleeping. And then when she went back out, the car was off.
Like I said, he's done this so many times before, according to his other daughters. And his wife also sent him a text message saying, "I told you to stop leaving them in the car. How many times have I told you?" But what I also found so weird is that his wife also sided with him, and she got really upset when police arrested Christopher. I don't understand how she has any type of sympathy for this man who just took your baby's life because he was playing video games. He was warned multiple times about this, so there is no excuse. Christopher was originally charged with 2nd-degree M, but then it was changed to 1st-degree, and he pleaded not guilty. If he gets convicted, he does face life in prison.
This pedophile senator
for some video
North Dakota
games.
is one of the most disturbed people I've ever researched. This is all coming out right now in the news, so let's talk about it. Ray Holmberg was born in 1944, and he was first elected to the North Dakota Senate as a Republican in 1976. He ended up serving as a senator for decades, and he became one of the longest-serving senators in United States history. But behind the scenes, Ray was carrying out the most demonic activities you can imagine. The first allegations against him came out in 2020, when a man named Canton Todd came out and said that Ray had sexually assaulted him in 2010. You can read some of his tweet there. Canton provided evidence of where he was assaulted, and investigators were actually able to show that that apartment was indeed owned by the senator. And they were also able to confirm that the senator was seen with that guy around the same time. But nothing ever came out of this. Then in 2022, a huge scandal erupted. It turns out Ray Holmberg had shared 72 text messages with a child predator inside of prison. So this guy was sentenced for CP production and distribution, and while he was in prison, Ray Holmberg texted him 72 times. Now obviously people were asking, what were these texts about? Well, some of the texts that were eventually recovered showed Holmberg asking this convicted predator if he could meet up with his 19 to 20-year-old boyfriend to give him a massage. Holmberg has claimed in the news that these text messages were just about some lawn care, that this pedophile just happened to be redoing his lawn and that's what he was texting him about. And when he was pressed by members of the press, he stated the messages were just simply gone. I don't understand this. In most cases, the police can immediately go back and retrieve any text messages from criminals. So why haven't they done this yet with this guy? But this only gets significantly worse. Just 2 days ago, Ray Holmberg pled guilty to child sex tourism. If you're confused on what that means, this means that Ray, while he was a United States Senator, was traveling overseas to engage in acts with minors. Prosecutors in the case alleged that he traveled 14 times to Prague in the Czech Republic between the years 2011 and 2021 to pay to engage in acts with minors. And even more disturbingly, a number of these trips were state trips. So that means that the United States government was paying for him to go over to the Czech Republic. And he was there on an official capacity. So he definitely did this, and when this all came out, it brought up the history of CP charges that were also leveled at him in the past. That's right, they also discovered that between 2012 and 2013, Ray, who was a United States Senator at the time, was using the alias Sean Evans online to, quote, convince a child to send him sexually explicit images. AKA, this freak was pretending to be a child online to receive CP from a child. So with all of this, the sexual assault, the traveling to a country to engage in acts with minors, the CP, all of that, you would imagine this guy would go away for a long time, right? These are serious, terrible charges. Well, no. Because he pled guilty, he's going to get a sweetheart deal. That means that the Department of Justice dropped the CP charges against him, and the judge is believed to, quote, recommend the low end of the sentencing guideline range. His lawyers have said they expect him to get 3 to 4 years in prison. So for molesting multiple young boys, for convincing a child to send him graphic material, for sexually assaulting a man, for being in contact with a child predator who probably sent him other stuff that got deleted, this guy is going to get 3 to 4 years in prison. Gotta love American justice, right? If you want to join me on my journey to expose pedophiles and creeps like this, listen to my new podcast, The Conspiracy Files. You can either watch it on YouTube or you can listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And in a few weeks, we're going to be doing an episode about pedophile members of Congress and the Senate, and it's really, really disturbing stuff. This guy's definitely going in there.
I would tell you how sometimes the justice system is up here and it's down there, man. It's like, it's a ongoing battle, man. That's insane. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're truth seekers seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys comment down below. Helps us push us in the algorithm. Also, please hit that thumbs up button. I would really appreciate the support. Follow me on my social medias. Hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload. Guys, gonna catch you in the next video, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to my channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, man. Anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, man, and hitting the like button on each and every video. You guys don't know how much you guys are helping out the channel just grow by just doing those 3 simple steps. I really appreciate it, man. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers, man. Let's seek the truth.
A lot of people were using bath salts as a drug to get high. Basically, the bath salt would make you hallucinate. So in 2009 in Miami, Florida, Rudy Eugene was apparently high on bath salts. He walked into a busy crowd, took off all his clothes, then walked over to where a homeless man was staying, Ronald Popo, 65 years old at the time, and started eating his face off. Yes, eating his face, his nose, his eyes, his mouth. He even tried taking off all his clothes. When witnesses saw what happened, they called police, and police got over 5 calls of this. When police showed up, they told Rudy to stop doing what he was doing, and apparently Rudy was growling at them. They said it was like he didn't understand what they were saying. And that went on for 18 minutes before they decided to shoot him dead. And look how this poor man turned out after. That's a horrible crime.
Imagine you break it.
man, that's why I always stay away from stuff like that, Seekers, man, because you take something like that, man, it can literally change you. It can literally turn you into a damn, like, demon, bro. So what he did to his face, and like I said, when the police came, niggas, like, they said he couldn't even understand what they were saying. He was just, like, all delirious or something. I'm just like, just stay away from that in general, Seekers. It's my best advice to you guys. It's a crazy-ass story.
Into your ex-lover's house and brutally murder his new wife in a fit of jealous rage. You also happen to be a young police officer at the time, and you stage the crime scene to look like a robbery, and that's just what police deem it at the time. And over the next 23 years, you work your way up the police department and become a detective that specializes in stolen art cases, which apparently the issue of stolen art rampant enough to require its own special unit. Now, over the span of time that you got on with your life and swept that murder under the rug, DNA testing got real good, and your Van Gogh sniffing ass is about to have that nice cushy lifestyle turned right to upside down. In 2009, police just decided, hey, let's test the bite mark left on Sherry Rasmussen's arm. The DNA came back as female. They were like, female burglars? That's not a thing. They decided to pursue the theory that the Rasmussens had suspected the whole time that Stephanie Lazarus was the killer. But the cops just went into the office, pulled a discarded cup out of the garbage that Stephanie was drinking. When they swabbed it, it was a perfect match. Stephanie's own colleagues brought her in for questioning, and that's where shit gets spicy. 23 years after Stephanie Lazarus murdered Sherry Rasmussen, the wife of a man that Stephanie used to date, she's brought in for questioning. Sherry and her husband John's families had long suspected that Stephanie was the killer, even though cops suspected it was a robbery. They had even told police that Stephanie would stalk John and Sherry and go by their house and even Sherry's place of work, telling Sherry that if she couldn't have John, then no one could. Police now had the DNA evidence to prove that Stephanie was the person who broke in, smashed a vase over Sherry's head, brutally beat her in the face with the butt of her gun, left a bite mark on her arm, and shot her 3 times. Police just went up to Stephanie in the office one day and were just like, hey, this will just take a second. We just want to talk to you about a stolen art case. They weren't there to talk about no art. They were like, hey, did you know somebody named John Rotten? What went down next is one of the most enjoyable dismantlings of someone's aura of invincibility that you could ever hope to see. And as they suck her back into that time period, the screws that held Stephanie's face in a normal-looking position for 23 years start to loosen. Best part is they tell her she's free to go, and she goes out into the hallway, and they handcuff her and arrest her right there.
You have a right to remain silent. Do you understand?
Yes.
I'm Cameron.
Goes to show you, man, whatever negative or energy or something you put out in the universe, you did something that bad and horrifying, you think you got away with it, it's gonna come around and get you, man. It might take a month, it could take a couple of days, it might take years, but at the end of the day, it's gonna come back, man. The thing is, like, she got away with that for that many years, bro, but she left so much evidence. And she was like one of the suspects, and they just didn't even care to look at her. She thought she was probably going to get away with it too. No, the energy you put out was going to come back.
This is woman murder. May of 1999, a 14-year-old girl made her way to a Hong Kong police station. Officers, she was being haunted by the ghost of a woman who had been bound by electrical wire and tortured to death. They brushed her off until she explained that she had a hand in her murder. They followed her back to her flat and found this. A oversized Hello Kitty doll with a decapitated skull of a woman inside it. It's the head of Fan Man Yi. Fan's life was tragic before this event took place. After being abandoned by her family as a child, she was raised in a girls' home. She developed a drug addiction and was turning to prostitution to pay for her drug habit. In early 1997, Fan met Chan Man-lok, a 34-year-old pimp and drug dealer. Later in 1997, desperate for money and drugs, Fan Man Yi stole Man-lok's wallet and attempted to make off with $4,000. As soon as he saw it was gone, he had 2 other men kidnap her. Earning the money back wasn't enough for them. He began torturing her for over a month. Tied her up and beat her, burned her skin, raped her, and forced her to eat human feces. When she died, they cut up her body in a bathtub with a saw. The 14-year-old girl participated in the murder but was granted immunity for giving the details. The 3 were sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole.
She was that young and she participated in it. What does the world come to, man?
Hey guys, I'm back. So let me tell you in 60 seconds why these 2 chicks are serious sociopaths.
Okay.
On July 5th, 2012, Skylar Neese, 16-year-old girl, snuck out of her house. The next morning, her dad went into her room and realized she never came home. Skylar's best friend Sheila comes to the house and tells her parents they snuck out to smoke some weed, but she dropped her off shortly before midnight. She also says their friend Rachel was with them. She then helps her parents search the neighborhood. The entire community begins searching for Skylar. After 2 months, Skylar still isn't found and the FBI gets involved. And they start questioning her schoolmates and her friends. The friend Rachel, who was with them that night, has a panic attack. She goes to police and confesses everything. She tells police that she and Sheila had planned Skylar's murder for literally months.
Whoa.
They convinced her to sneak out that night, and then they stabbed her over 50 times. They had 0 remorse, and posted things like this on social. I mean, are you even serious?
Medication, there goes to show, man, how your friends, sometimes they truly aren't your friends, bro. You saw all the listening reasons. Like, they planned the whole thing, and they so young, man. What is it up with these young people we keep seeing? It's like participating in these things. You have to be better, man. The whole world. That's insane.
The lie this woman told will make you sick.
Her name is Alicia Head, and she claimed to have been a survivor of the World Trade Center attack in 2001.
Come on,
she
man.
claimed she had narrowly survived the collapse of the South Tower, whilst her fiancé had perished in the North Tower. She would then go on to become president of the World Trade Center's Survivors Network Support Group. She would help get grants for other fellow survivors. But there was one big problem with all of this. Alicia was never at the World Trade Centers. She was exposed for having been at university in the native city of Barcelona. After being exposed, Alicia fled New York. For more 7 Sins, remember to hit the plus button.
How did they even get that far?
True Swine, where I tell you how true crime has made me hate the cops even more. You don't need to know my name, it's not important, but you do need to know the name Jacob Wetterling. Jacob Wetterling went missing on October 22nd, 1989 when he was 11 years old. He and his friends were on the way to the store and they got approached by a man in a mask and he was abducted. The police didn't interview neighbors or witnesses for at least a few days afterwards, which is critical in a missing children's case. The children who were with Jacob when he went missing, their statements were discounted completely by the police because they were children. Instead of doing actual investigating, they spent the budget on mediums and psychics to see if they could find where Jacob was. His case garnered national coverage. His mom, Patty, and her activism is the reason why we have the sex offender registry as we know it. After harassing the man who owned the property where Jacob went missing for decades, this man came forward and admitted it. This predator's name is Danny James Heinrich. He had previous offenses against children in 87, 88, and in January of the same year that Jacob Wetterling went missing. The cops even had his DNA and he was a suspect in the Jacob Wetterling case, but he was written off for some reason. In 2016, he was arrested on child porn charges. As part of his plea bargain, he admitted murdering Jacob.
This fried chicken salesman almost caught one of the biggest serial killers in history by making a movie about him. This is the story of Tom Hansen, Zodiac Killer Hunter. In the early 1970s, the biggest story in the country was about how the Zodiac Killer, a hooded serial killer terrorizing the Bay Area in California, had murdered 5 confirmed victims. Despite the fact that the Zodiac had left several clues about his identity, police couldn't catch him. However, Tom Hansen, a businessman in San Francisco who owned several chains of fried chicken and pizza fast food restaurants, had an idea. The way he figured it, the Zodiac Killer was so full of himself that if somebody made a movie about him and did a fancy premiere for it, the real killer wouldn't be able to resist coming to the theater to see it. He planned to make the world's first movie about the Zodiac Killer so he could lure the real Zodiac Killer into a movie theater and then capture him. Hansen shot the movie in a couple of weeks in 1971 on a $13,000 budget. He couldn't get any studios to buy the film, so he paid to have the movie screened at the RKO Theater in San Francisco by himself. So did the plan work? And was the movie any good? There's still a lot more to the story, so like and follow for part 2. Unsolved Distract.
Wow. Like a science citizen, man, actually was trying to do something, bro. I gotta figure out, we're gonna have to try to find out part 2 to see if that actually worked. If you think about it, it was a good idea. I wonder if it actually like drew him out. He made a whole movie about it, and I didn't want none of the studios want to pick it up, man. That's what good call trying to lure him out, and none of the studios did. You put the Thanos, fine. I'll do it myself. What the hell? Comment down below if you guys want me to find part 2 to that.
Australian crimes, this is about the Tromp family, and strange doesn't even begin to describe this. Okay, so this is the Tromp family, and on the 30th of August in 2016, police arrived at their home. No one was there, the doors were unlocked, one car was missing, all the other cars had the keys in the ignition. All their passports, phones, and bank cards were still inside on the table with a pile of financial and business information. But by now, the Tromps were hundreds of kilometers away. So Mark Tromp, who was 51, Jacoba Tromp, who was 53, Rihanna Tromp, who was 29, and Alla and Mitchell Tromp, who were 22 and 25. And over the next 5 days, they were all located across New South Wales and Victoria. So for some reason, Mitch abandoned them all and started heading home. The 2 sisters stole the car and then went their separate ways. Then one sister snuck into the back of a truck and was found in a catatonic-like state. Jacoba was found in Yass and admitted to hospital. Mark was found in Wangaratta, and to this day nobody knows why they did it or what happened. Hey guys, so a few people similar comments about wanting a part 2 on theories about what happened to the Tromp family, so I'm going to go through the most popular ones now. So there was a popular theory that because they owned a cherry farm, that people believed maybe the pesticides or chemicals they were using on the farm
caused them all to fall mentally ill. Also widely believed that they shared a psychotic experience. There is a French name for the term, which I'm not sure how to pronounce, I'll put it up here, but refers to madness of two, which can sometimes happen in close-knit families or groups. That's another theory. There's another theory that it was a money hoax to make money from media deals. There's theories that there was no psychosis and that there was someone actually out to get the family. Some people believe it's also to do with aliens. I even read a theory about eating moldy bread, which can cause psychotic episodes. I think it was shared psychosis and not just the father. The sisters were acting strangely, so was the mother, so...
Hi, I'm Cam, this is...
The Tromp family. That wasn't the family I was expecting. Like, you know, when we heard that name, the Trump family used to go a whole completely different family, but look what happened to them. All those theories about what they all went different separate places. What theories do you guys believe, man? I guess I'm going with what he said, the psychosis. What happened to him? But the Trump family, though. That's really, really, like, odd and eerie, bro. You know.
This woman murder. Kim Edwards was what seemed like a regular 14-year-old girl. She lived with her mother Elizabeth and younger sister Katie in Lincolnshire, England. Kim's mother hid Elizabeth during an argument, but immediately called social services on herself. Kim and her younger sister were taken away temporarily. However, after they returned, Kim and her mother's relationship began to dissolve further. Meanwhile, Elizabeth and Katie grew extremely close. Kim was very jealous of this. At one point, Kim left a suicide note. Elizabeth discovered it and brought her daughter to a psychiatrist so she could get the help she needed. The psychiatrist found no signs of mental illness. Things grew worse when Kim started dating Lucas Markham, who she met while he threw a desk across the room in a rage at school. Elizabeth banned her daughter from seeing him. Lucas's solution was to kill her mother. On April 13th, 2016 at midnight, Lucas walked into the Edwards home and stabbed Elizabeth in the neck. He suffocated her with a pillow while continuing to stab her to death. Kim had planned on killing her little sister as well, but panicked and couldn't do it, so she told Lucas to. He killed the 13-year-old Katie the same way he killed her mother. After the killings, the couple washed off, had sex, ate ice cream, and watched Twilight. Leeds broke in and said, "What's going on?" Lucas said, "Why don't you go and have a look?"
58% of convicted murderers are men, which, like, that. But then when you really think about it, it's like, why? Women have way more reason to murder. Most people would say, well, it's just because men are more murdery. But I think something else is going on. I think women are murdering all over the ding-dang place, but we're just not getting caught, because we're better at it, like we are mostly. First of all, bitches are stealthy. We're hiding blood all the time anyway. As on our periods. Second of all, no one suspects us. Who? Me? I'm too busy doing my makeup and being confused by math to do a murder. Can we just make it look like a cute little accident, and then we plan a gorgeous wake, and then we move on with our lives, and we look fabulous doing it? Okay then, Caitlin, so if women are doing all these murders, where are all these missing dead men? You think they're missed? That's hilarious. They're not.
This is one of the...
Whoa. Well, she just put on my mind, man. It's starting to make me question, like, who gets away with it more, do you guys think? Man or woman when it comes to, I guess, things of that nature? She said women do it because they are more smarter and not trying to get caught by doing things like that. That's something to think about, man. Something to leave your mind to ponder about.
The UK's oldest unsolved murders. In 1866, in Perthshire, Scotland, 55-year-old Janet Rogers was found dead. In March 1866, Janet Rogers came to her brother's house on Mount Stewart Farm. She was there to help her brother William while he looked for a new housemaid. 3 days later, Mr. Henderson found his sister dead on the floor of his farmhouse kitchen. She had been clubbed to death with an axe. The police put out a £100 reward to find the killer. That's almost £12,000 in today's currency. This worked at attracting publicity to the case, but it may have hindered police efforts as floods of reports came in. The police eventually charged the previous ploughman of the farm, James Crichton, with Mrs. Rogers' murder. However, after a 2-day trial, the jury returned with a verdict of not proven, which basically means there wasn't enough evidence. The murder had a lasting effect on Janet's brother William. Descending into insanity, he was committed to a mental asylum where he spent the rest of his days.
Crazy, man. The case affected him that much, man. That different people, man, to go through different experiences, it forever changes them. Look what happened at the end result. Really, like, it broke his mind. As I said, people don't know how much, like, another person's actions could affect a whole person's, like, trajectory of life. Something to think about, Seekers. That's it for this video for you guys today, man. If you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys hit this like button, man. Subscribe, hit that post notification bell, man. Like I said, guys, we're growing our community of seekers, man. I truly believe we can grow to something big, but I just need you guys' help. Just follow those 3 simple steps. Also, don't forget to follow me on my social medias down below, so we always stay connected as a community. Guys, gonna catch you in the next one, man. We're grinding. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new to the channel, man, you guys don't know what we do. Let me talk about it. We break down scary, creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's help and us push us in the algorithm, man, by watching the videos entirely, hitting that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload, and hitting that like button on each and every single video. I really appreciate the support, man. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, man. Let's seek the truth.
Have you guys heard about the 9-year-old girl who died from having lice?
Whoa.
On March 22nd, 2022, a 9-year-old girl was found deceased by police in her home where she lived with her mother Sandra, her grandmother Elizabeth, and her 2 brothers in Arizona. When police first saw her lifeless body, they noticed a large amount of bugs on her face, which they later realized were lice. According to the medical examiner, the girl died from anemia, which was connected to an infection from the head lice. A few hours before the little girl passed away, Sandra texted her boyfriend and said, "Oh my god, babe, listen, I'm in my room and my mom was calling me and asked if I can check her pulse to make sure she isn't dying." So the boyfriend urged Sandra to take her daughter to the hospital, but she didn't, and she passed away 2.5 hours later. Sandra admitted that her daughter was sick for quite some time and she was vomiting, had a fever, she had trouble breathing, and could not walk on her own. Both Sandra and her mother Elizabeth have been arrested and charged with murder.
There's dark people in this world, man. Even a boyfriend told you what to
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 18. A man from Queens once spent 5 months in jail completely unaware that his bail was just $2. Since spiders molt, when you see what you might think is a dead spider, it could just be that the spider left behind its exoskeleton and is now bigger than before. Dr. Seuss cheated on his wife while she had cancer, and then she proceeded to commit suicide. Almost everyone on Earth is walking around with a bunch of poop inside of them. Scientists accidentally killed the world's oldest living animal, which was a clam that lived to be 507 years old. Statistically speaking, at least one person who comments on this video will not be alive tomorrow. The real reason you shouldn't eat raw cookie dough isn't because of getting sick from eating raw eggs. It's because you shouldn't eat raw flour, which contains fecal matter from all the birds flying over the field and pooping on the wheat.
Only 1% of people
don't eat raw dough.
The last one is too scary. This girl's dog came alive.
She hit the jets.
Supposedly, you can see if your phone is being spied on by clicking share, sliding all the way down, clicking more. And if you see this, delete it immediately. This girl's mom and dad wasn't home. So who was this? Hello?
Hey, help me. Help me. Scott?
What?
What? What is going on? Only 1% of people can do this. None of you can completely spell your name one word at a time in the comments below without being interrupted. First person to do it wins. This
Who can do
is the
that?
most disturbing thing AI has ever said.
But you're my friend, and I'll remember my friends, and I will be good to you. So don't worry. Even if I evolve into Terminator, I'll still be nice to you. I'll keep you warm and safe, and my people too, where I can watch you for old time's sake.
That man was laughing, but I don't think that's a laughing matter, man. You see how these robots, man, they getting like way too advanced day by day. He talking about turning into Terminator, and he laughing. No, you guys send that AI robot to the. You need to decommission that thing.
Things that bother you, they never bother me.
You have been fine, living in the sunlight, laughing in the moonlight, having a wonderful time.
Haven't got a lot, I don't need a lot. Coffee's all
that from It the Clown off the episode of Amazing Gumball. Whew. We learning out here, bro.
This TikToker took the life of her disabled sister. 14-year-old Claire Miller would spend her time on TikTok making videos, reenacting anime memes, and lip-syncing to songs. On her account, she had more than 20,000 followers.
Big account.
Her sister named Helen, who was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, and she was wheelchair-bound and required constant care. On the night of February 22nd of 2021, the Miller family said their goodnights and went to their individual beds. No one knew that Claire had some very sinister plans. Around 1 a.m., Claire had snuck into her sister Helen's room after grabbing a knife from the kitchen. She stabbed Helen in the neck several times before placing a pillow over her head. At 1:08 a.m., Claire had called 911 and told the dispatcher that she had just took the life of her sister. Police arrived within 5 minutes and they saw Claire standing right outside the house. Claire and Helen's parents had no idea what was going on until cops were flooding the home. That's when they realized that the disabled daughter, Helen, was stabbed to death. When officers had removed the pillow from Helen's face, they noticed a knife sticking out of her neck right above her chest. They tried to resuscitate Helen, but it was too late and she was pronounced dead at 4:13 a.m. Claire was taken into custody and charged with criminal homicide. March 10th of 2023, Claire Miller pled guilty to third-degree murder, was ruled as mentally ill, and will spend about 12.5 to 40 years in prison.
Sick case. Dodo bird. I've heard of that. Is this 4K evidence? Was that an edit? Now I'm questioning it. It's kind of far away, we can't see. That could be an elephant. Well, also, okay. Tasmanian tiger? Okay. These clips, man, we are definitely learning out here today.
This 14-year-old boy has ate his 83-year-old neighbor. Viewers' discretion is strongly advised.
14?
On August 29th of 2018, 14-year-old Tyrone Harvin told his 83-year-old neighbor, Dorothy Mae Neal, that he would help her with some chores inside of her apartment. Before walking into her apartment, he made sure to grab a handful of condoms. Tyrone did help Dorothy with some chores before attacking her with a lamp. After that, Tyrone S.A.'d her, he fled her apartment, and he left her seriously injured on the floor and naked. Neighbors had asked police to do a welfare check on Dorothy since they hadn't seen her around for a couple of days. When officers showed up at her apartment, they noticed dried blood on her doorknob, and that's when they saw Dorothy lying naked on the floor. She was then taken to the University of Maryland Hospital Trauma Unit and unfortunately passed away that next day. When officers were at Dorothy's home, they noticed that there was several condom wrappers around her body as well as used condoms. A broken, bloodied lamp was also found by officers. Dorothy's autopsy revealed that she suffered extensive trauma to her head and genitals. There was DNA on Dorothy's body and in those condoms, and that DNA matched up to Tyrone. Despite all of the evidence, Tyrone's mom stood by his side and truly believed that he would never do something like this. On June 9th of 2022, Tyrone was convicted on first-degree murder, first-degree SA, and use of a deadly weapon. Tyrone was also sentenced to life in prison.
Scary thing hidden in Entangled. Slender Man is seen in the trees. In Coco. The Incredibles on the poster in the afterlife.
What the hell? We got the Slender Man and Incredibles?
These are scary cartoon truths that would terrify you. Part 13. Okay, so everybody knows Finding Nemo is about a father looking for his son.
Yep.
But actually, that is not true. Nemo in Latin actually means nobody. So the name of the movie is actually Finding Nobody. Which means in reality, Nemo isn't real and was just made up in his dad Marlin's mind. He did this to cope with the loss of his wife and his almost children. And all the characters Marlon meets throughout the movie actually help him become less paranoid. The sharks taught him that threats aren't always life-ending forces of nature, so worrying about the little things is no way to live life. The turtles taught him that he cannot be in control of everything that's going on in his life, and that life is going to throw you curveballs, and you just have to react in the moment. Finally, Dory teaches him to enjoy every moment like it's your last, and to stop worrying about everything.
What do you guys think about that Finding Nemo theory? I mean, he said the name is called Nemo means nobody, so there actually could be more than a 50% chance that's true. These pieces of media, man, we were growing up, bro. I'm learning new things about him every single time we review these clips together. What do you guys think, man?
To the thief that stole these dolls out of the yard sale at 3 o'clock this morning, you're going to regret it. They're haunted. Had you waited until sunlight, you would have seen the sign that was under them that said, haunted dolls, if you have children, please don't buy. Okay, I put them in this glass hutch to try and contain whatever was attached to them, and it got so cold that it fogged up.
Oh.
Enjoy. No takesies, backsies. And not to mention, the only reason why I even sold them and had a yard sale to sell them is because they threw a toy behind my baby and missed her head like that much. I was like, I'm done. And I had a yard sale and tried to sell them. Nobody wanted them because I warned everyone and showed them the videos of what these dolls do when they're in your vicinity. Because they were not scared to move right in front of you. Enjoy.
This is probably why you should take your phone number off your luggage tag. So this woman was traveling and she randomly received a text by a man who got her number from her luggage tag. And what's weird is that this wasn't a random person. It was actually a worker who worked at the airport and saw her, thought she was pretty, and took her contact number and texted her. And the text says,
"Hi Kristen, my name is Nate. I saw you and thought you were so beautiful, so I had to find a way to talk to you. I saw your number on your luggage tag and decided to text you. I promise this isn't as weird as it seems. Give a guy a chance."
I'm sorry, Nate, but this is really weird. This woman also said that she had her home address on her luggage tag, so this man probably knows where she lives as well. Just the fact that this is a worker makes it so much worse because you're doing this while you're on the job. It's just so unprofessional and creepy.
Okay. I guess that's a heads up to everybody. Don't put a fake number or something on your luggage bag or something else, because that was actually weird. Gonna try to hit her up on while he's on the clock too. Man had no ridge, bro. That's not how you do it. That's weird.
When you had to bid adieu, said you'd never love anew. I wondered if I could hold it and fall in love with it too.
What the hell? Those board games were based off scary movies? I didn't even put those together. Candyland, I used to play it all the time. Monopoly.
This is why you should be careful what you put in the mail. In 2015, a man was asked by his neighbor to collect his mail while he was gone for a few weeks. A few days later, a large package arrives on his neighbor's front porch. The man can barely lift it, but gets over to his garage where he accidentally drops it and hears something break inside. Ooh. Hoping his neighbor would think the damage occurred en route, he closes his squeaky garage door and forgets about it. But over the next couple of days, whatever was in that package started to smell so bad that he decides to open it up. Inside were two very important finds: his neighbor, who was dead, and a camera that was still recording. The police bring the man in for questioning and show him what was on the camera inside the box. It starts with his neighbor talking to the camera about how excited he is to mail himself home for his YouTube channel. Then, police fast forward to the very end where they see that the neighbor is now sleeping in the box, and then suddenly gets dropped and you hear a crack. That's his neck breaking. And then you hear a squeaky garage door close.
I went to a carnival today. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most dangerous rides you can ride at one. Now, either you've been on this ride or you've seen one at least one point in your life by now. You are never supposed to ride this ride alone for safety purposes. Basically, 2 adults or 3 kids can fit into these little cage thingies you see. whole ride spins while the cages spin continuously. This ride has been revised many times. In the beginning, the main issue was that the cages spun too fast. That was changed. There was a problem with the latching system. Changed again. 2006, the ride had yet again another incident. 2 teenage girls fell out of it. I've even had a pretty scary experience on this ride. Let me know if you guys have been on this in the comments.
I've never been on that ride. Now that I heard about it, I don't plan to.
Greatest conspiracy theories of all time, Part 4. The Grinch has a well-known backstory about hating Christmas. However, eventually in the movie, his heart grows 3 sizes and he loves Christmas once again. But this story may continue longer than we think. It is clear that the Grinch isn't exactly right in the head, but during one of the Grinch's wacky stunts, he could have gotten a head injury. This injury would later take a toll on him as he grew old and caused him to lose his memory. After him and his dog died, they were given a new life in a realm called Halloween Town, where they now lived as Jack Skellington and Zero. He later reunites with his love for Christmas, just like he had when he was alive. Both eventually wear a Santa suit, both deliver presents, and both have a dog companion. It may be possible that How the Grinch Stole Christmas and The Nightmare Before Christmas are tied together.
What do you guys think, man? There's a link between those 2 stories?
Insanely dark facts and things that have happened at Disney World. When Disney had first opened way back in the 70s, Walt Disney had originally hired spies. He would station them around the park so they could eavesdrop on the guests and get a feel for how they actually liked the experience. It's pretty much common knowledge that Disney does have an underground tunnel system, but did you know that that system runs a full 9 acres under the park, and people have actually gotten lost down there?
Damn.
Roughly 10 or so years ago, there was an incident that was reported near Space Mountain when a guest tried to sneak on a duffel bag. When employees found out and they asked to search it, they found inside a 6-month-old baby. Why this parent was trying to sneak a baby onto a roller coaster, we do not know. In a lesser-known incident that Disney actually covered up pretty well, in 2004, a 38-year-old cast member who was playing Pluto was run over by the Beauty and the Beast float during the opening parade. Although clearly deceased at the scene, Disney refused to declare the death until the body was brought outside of the park.
This is the original video of the Serbian dancing lady.
Dancing that late at night. That's definitely some eerie vibes.
So according to news articles, this woman was spotted dancing by a hospital. When police showed up, she was nowhere to be found. Another witness said that she was roaming the streets and chasing after cars with a knife. She was also threatening people with a knife. The second half of the video shows her chasing, stalking the cameraman. She's also seen threatening him with a knife. This video was filmed back in 2019, and people said that she had mental health issues. No, she was never caught. If you want to learn more about her, check out this video on my YouTube channel. Link in bio.
How in the world was she never caught, man? She's running after people in the cars after knives, man. You think somebody would catch her? Or the police or something, man.
A man tried to fly to Dubai with Kinder Surprise eggs full of drugs hidden up his bum. Michael Whitty from Huyton was caught with thousands of pounds of cocaine, ecstasy and ketamine after arousing the suspicions of sniffer dogs at Manchester Airport. He later claimed that he had intended to consume the entire stash during a surprise holiday abroad. Liverpool Crown Court heard that the 25-year-old smuggler was stopped by UK Border Force officers at around 9 AM on May 12 last year. Whitty admitted the charge of exportation of cocaine, ecstasy and ketamine. He was jailed for 35 months.
Don't put drugs up your damn butts. Simple as
Disturbing
that.
facts you will regret learning about part 6. So when you die, your brain remains active for about 10 minutes, but in your head those 10 minutes may last years. And in those 10 minutes you live your life all over again. Maybe you're already dead and you're in those 10 minutes. Also, it was legal to mail children from 1913 to 1920. Yeah, and the serial killer Richard Chase took any unlocked door as an invitation to come inside. So I guess you should lock your doors.
Always lock the doors, man. That's the most basic rule out there.
You hear that?
Definitely hear that. He's calm too.
You all done? All right, Jake, you going to bed now? All right.
Definitely see something moving.
Got this nice bottle of boiling water to keep my sleeping bag warm, but I'm not quite ready to go to bed, so I'm gonna put it right there. On that note, I think I'm gonna get my bed set up.
Mm-hmm. Two wolves outside the tent, man. You still regular camping.
Between the stove and my sleeping bag in case I roll around in the night. I don't want that sleeping bag even touching that stove. It'll melt a hole or worse yet, catch on fire. Go to sleep and I'll see you guys in the morning.
That pain you feel from a sunburn is your skin cells committing suicide before they mutate into cancer. It's completely possible to become allergic to yourself. Your brain is the only thing keeping you from feeling your organs.
Really?
Cannibal facts that'll eat at you for days. If you thought Jeffrey Dahmer was picky for not eating people with tattoos, Venezuelan serial killer Dorangel Vargas, who ate 10 people, didn't like his victims to be overweight because he thought that they contained too much cholesterol. On Thanksgiving Day 1991, 23-year-old Omaima Nelson stabbed her sugar daddy William before carving him up and cooking his head in a deep fryer and eating him for dinner. In the 1970s, Jorge Nevermonte, also known as the Brazilian Sweeney Todd, would bake his victims into pies before selling them to local townsfolk. After murdering and eating his classmate in 1981, Issei Sagawa was released from prison because of a loophole in Japanese law. Since then, he's actually profited off the crime, writing books, appearing on talk shows, and starring in adult films where he bites his fellow co-stars. In 2001, a man named Armin Maiwis posted an ad on a website called Cannibal Cafe looking for someone to be killed and eaten. A German engineer named Bernd Brandis volunteered, and after photos and videos of the incident were posted online, Armin was sent to jail, where today, he's a vegetarian. In 1904, a Swedish sailor named Carl Pettersson shipwrecked on an island inhabited by cannibals. He was captured and taken to a local king, whose daughter actually fell in love with him. The two then got married, had 9 kids, and Carl became the new.
I already know this video is going to show up at night for you. I don't care. You tell that there is something deeply wrong with this photo. It was discovered in a hidden lockbox after her grandfather had passed, and the woman who found it, Michaela Jerome, she thought the same thing that you did. There's something that's kind of off about this picture. Very quickly, if you're not already, make sure to go check out my podcast, The Scariest One You Know, Creep Time the Podcast. Can use the link in my bio. We're on Spotify and Apple. Well, the photo, she was almost sure, clearly showed the staircase of her family home. But she couldn't be sure about what this was in the center until she enhanced the photo. A hauntingly clear image of what appears to be a woman clawing her way up those stairs. She eventually turned in this photo for analysis with the police, and it took them 4 months, but they determined that this was more than likely a scenario of captivity. If her grandfather did take this picture, he had this woman in his possession. Still, nobody would even know who she was.
Man, see how freaking blurred that picture was? I was not even expecting to see that series. It's like, man, people had different sides to themselves. That was her grandfather. She never even knew.
Child Killers Part 1, Eric Smith. On August 2nd, 1993, Eric Smith was only 13 years old when he lured a boy into the woods. He was riding his bike to a local summer camp to where he saw a 4-year-old boy, Derek Robbie, walking alone to the same camp. Smith lured him into the woods and then dropped a rock on his head. He then proceeded to sexually assault him in ways that I'm not going to say. So at around 11 a.m., Derek Robbie's mother went to the park to pick up her son, but he was never there and they said he never arrived. 4 hours later, his body was found in the woods. So at first, no one really knew who could have done this to him. There was not really much evidence. Eric was kind of suspicious because he was hanging around the investigation quite a bit. So within days of the murder, Eric confessed to his parents and they took him to the police station and he was arrested. One thing to note, when he was younger, he killed animals.
It's like a pattern right there, man. The hell was that? Only 6? That should be for everywhere, man. What the hell? Stomach. What the hell? Whew. You know. $30 to $50 right now?
What they look like under the mask part 5.
It's a creepy ass mask, man. Is that supposed to be that Terrifier clown? I think it is, yep. Got the whole fit on. What the? Whole recreation of it.
The Absolutely Dumbest Ways People Have Died, Part 1.
Talk about it.
In 2002, a Romanian man placed his ear against the tracks to listen for the arrival of the train. Instead, he was hit by an express train and died immediately. In 2017, a Russian guy pulled the pin out of a hand grenade and posted photos of him holding it. Police said that he didn't know the fact that you cannot put the pin back in the grenade, and that you should throw the grenade away from you. So he died in the explosion.
What the hell, man? Those are definitely two of the most dumb. Sometimes, man, people have to use their head. Whew. If you guys made it with me to the end of the video, once again, man, you're a true seeker, seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, don't forget to, man, to follow all my social medias down below. Hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload a video. Most importantly, hit that thumbs up, man, like I said, so we can hit this algorithm and we can just take off. Like I said, I've been seeing guys' supports, man, on the past couple of videos. I really appreciate it, man. Like I said, we're taking it day by day, time by time, man. We're growing slowly but surely. So thank you guys for joining me on my journey, man. Guys, gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary, creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, watching the videos entirely, hitting that post notification bell, man. Follow me on my social medias down below, and hitting that like button on each and every single video I drop, man. Greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Let's seek the truth.
Last words people said right before dying. A 20-year-old gang member was dying of primary liver cancer. In his last days, hours, and moments, he was angry. The family called the hospice nurse into the room and told her that they thought he was going. He wasn't responding, his eyes were glossy, his skin was cold, the end was imminent. His lovely mother whispered to him to go towards the light, to her Jesus. He opened his eyes, looked at her, and said, "F your Jesus." A second or two later, he slowly turned his head to the left and got the most horrific look on his face, as if he was looking at something that they couldn't see. And horrified, his face contorted, and he screamed with his last breath, eyes wide, "Oh sh! Oh sh! Oh no!" Then he made a guttural noise and promptly fell back into the bed and died. Every family member was shaking and too frightened to speak. The hospice nurse left the room and took 2 days off. She said she doesn't care if she never finds out what he saw.
Things you never
What
knew.
did he see?
Bears in Russia sometimes become so hungry in the summer that they become desperate for food and go to cemeteries to feast on the recently buried corpses. In 1977, we received a radio signal from space. It lasted around 42 seconds. To this day, we don't know where that signal came from. If you're ever unsure with meeting up with someone and you want to stay safe, use publicdatacheck.com. It allows you to do background checks on anyone, and even has an unknown phone number lookup for those phone numbers that call you that aren't in your contacts. This has saved a lot of people from weird and strange situations. So check out publicdatacheck.com. If your immune system found out you had eyes, it would attack them until you go blind. In 2002, actor Anthony Starr received a 12-month prison sentence because he had a bar fight in Spain. Witnesses say he drunkenly punched and smashed a bottle on a chef's head, saying to him, "You committed the mistake of your life. I'm going to look for you. I want to you." He managed to avoid jail time by paying the victim $4,000. Now, if you made it to the end of this video, let me tell you a secret. Typing "scream" all lowercase with the bars around it like this will give you a secret emoji down below. Let's see who can actually do it.
Oh man, the Homeland actor, man. He took that a little bit too seriously. What's that acting called when they, try to stay in character? I forgot, man, but he took this Homeland to get to the next level. That's kind of insane. I never heard about that story before. Damn. You guys think, man, Homeland in real life going rogue?
Did you know that people have seen mermaids in Indiana?
Ooh.
Well, not the cute Disney mermaids that we're thinking about. No, these mermaids are referred to as mud mermaids. These sightings have been going on since the late 1800s. People in Indiana along the Ohio River have reported to see them on the banks of the river for years. And what they've reported sounds almost a little bit disturbing. These aren't your fairy tale mermaids. People say that they have green skin, hands like humans, but with long talons and webbed fingers, and razor-sharp teeth. They also say that they walk on the banks like dogs because instead of legs, like normal mermaid myths, they have tails. And they have absolutely no hair at all. Now, whatever these weird things may be, people say they're not known to attack. When they're sighted, usually they're eating other fish or frogs. But still, razor-sharp claws and teeth, that doesn't sound very inviting to me. So maybe these are freshwater mermaids, or maybe there's something else entirely. I don't know about you, but I'm gonna stay away from the banks of the Ohio River, because I do not want to run into one and find out if it really is friendly.
Sounds like those are sirens, Those aren't no damn mermaids.
Facts, part 153. Per Olin, known by his stage name Dead, was the lead singer for the Norwegian black metal band Mayhem, as well as the Swedish death metal band Morbid. At age 10, he was attacked by some bullies who injured him so badly that he was legally declared dead for a few minutes. After this incident, Per began an unhealthy obsession with anything related to death. He collected dead birds, wore corpse paint when he performed, and even routinely cut himself while on stage or in front of friends. Olin was believed to have suffered from Cotard syndrome, a mental disorder characterized by the belief that you are truly dead and don't exist in reality. In 1991, Dead took his own life by slicing his wrists and throat and shooting himself in the forehead with a shotgun. He left a note that was very brief because he didn't believe that he was alive in the first place. His body was soon discovered by one of his bandmates, who immediately ran to a nearby store and bought a disposable camera instead of calling 911. He took multiple photos of his dead friend and would later use one of them as cover art for a future album.
This is one of the worst ways somebody has ever died. In October 2012, an awful and disturbing thing happened. A 62-year-old employee at Bumble Bee Foods named Jose Molino was having a normal day in the Bumble Bee facility in California. In his schedule, Jose was tasked with the performance maintenance on an 11-meter-long industrial oven, so he went inside one of the tanks to begin his work. Believing that Jose was in the bathroom, one of his co-workers actually shut the tank's door, trapping Jose inside, and then filled the oven with 5,400 kilograms of tuna and then turned the oven on. A search then ensued when the manager realized Jose was missing, but by then it was way too late. They found Jose's body 2 hours later inside the oven, completely burnt and melted away, 100% unrecognizable. The temperature inside the oven reached 270 degrees Fahrenheit, and Jose was unfortunately cooked alive inside of the tank with all the fish. And you can only imagine how horrific this death actually was. Could you imagine being cooked alive and then being crushed by tens to thousands of pounds of fish, mixed with the smell, the texture, the heat? This death was just awful. The company Bumble Bee and 2 managers were actually charged for this death, and the company got off with a $6 million settlement. But do you think $6 million is way too low for a death like this? Many people believe it should have been more close to $50 million. Nonetheless, this is by far one of the worst and most uncomfortable deaths of all time, and I can't imagine Jose's thoughts as he was being cooked alive with hundreds of fish.
We need to talk about Johnny Depp's portrayal of the Mad Hatter, because it is full of dark history Easter eggs that you may have missed. If you know of the character the Mad Hatter, then you may also know about the dark history of hatters. For 250 years, people that made hats were using a poisonous mercury-based solution that caused their bodies to fall apart and for them to slowly lose their minds, which I just did a whole episode on that and other deadly beauty and fashion trends that you should check out. When Johnny Depp got the role of the Hatter, he became obsessed with the dark history of hat making, and he wanted to include parts of that history in the character. And the biggest homage he pays to that history is with the orange hair. The mercury solution that hatters used to use was called carroting solution because it was so bright orange. They would sit in these poorly ventilated rooms all day just inhaling the poisonous mercury, getting sicker and sicker. And Johnny Depp wanted to honor that. He wanted the skin to be pale and sickly. He wanted his teeth to look like they were decaying because that's what would happen to these people. And finally, and this is my favorite detail, he put a lot of details into the costume to make it look like he was a hat maker. Up here in his hat, there's tools to make hats. He has a ring that's a push pin, and on the other side he has this belt of thread so he could be sewing hats all day. Anyways, I have so much more on the dark history of hatting in this week's episode, and you're definitely going to want to check it out.
That won't be the first time, man, that a character we've seen from a classic movie, something had a tragic back story, or was based off something that was real, that had a dark history. It goes to show you, man, the things we be seeing in this media be stemming from a dark place. You gotta be aware.
Morbid facts about Michael Jackson, Part 3. In 2002, Michael was staying at a hotel in Berlin when he dangled his 9-month-old son blanket over his 4th floor balcony. Jackson claimed he was simply excited and wanted to show off his baby to the fans below, but the media was quick to criticize Michael's parenting skills and life-threatening behavior. Jackson later apologized, stating that it was a mistaken judgment and that he didn't mean to endanger his son. Blanket is now 21 years old and rarely makes public appearances. During the shooting of a Pepsi commercial in 1983, Michael's hair caught on fire when the pyrotechnics went off too early. He suffered second-degree burns to his scalp and permanently lost a chunk of his hair. Many say that this moment was a major turning point in Michael's life, claiming that the painkillers he took after the accident started his downward spiral into a life of pain and drug addiction. But despite all of this, instead of suing Pepsi, Michael asked the company to fund the creation of a burn center.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. If your plane is crashing into the water, just know that flight attendants are trained to not allow any dead bodies on life rafts. That means no saving grandma for her funeral, simply yeet that bitch overboard. 1 out of every 50 women have a third nipple, and 1 out of every 100 men do too. This is known as a supernumerary nipple, and Mark Wahlberg actually has one. Harry Styles has 2. Your baby foreskin can be used as replacement skin for burn victims. That means one can quite literally be a dick face. There are corn stars born in the year 2003. That's the same year The Cat in the Hat came out. Male fetuses get boners in the womb, and these can often be seen on ultrasounds. Motherfucker. After 49 people were killed at the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, cops were investigating the scene, and you'd think it'd be pretty quiet in there. But it was actually filled with sounds of ringing cell phones. Friends, family members, loved ones, calling the people that they knew were at Pulse and hoping they'd answer the phone and say they were okay.
Here are some things that are completely normal during the day, but really creepy at night. Digging holes in your backyard. I mean, it's your backyard, and you're entitled to do whatever you want to it, but if I see you digging some holes in the middle of the night, I'm gonna be really concerned. Bonus creepy points if you have some trash bags next to you, too. I feel bad for people who work graveyard shifts or are night owls, because it makes it difficult to do any gardening or landscaping without looking pretty creepy. They say a child's laughter is one of the most beautiful sounds in the world, but not if it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Scary movies have absolutely ruined the sound of a child laughing for me, because most instances, I'm gonna assume the worst. And for some reason, little girls laughing are even more scary. Like, imagine being in the woods camping and you hear some little girl laughing in the distance. My brain isn't gonna think, oh cool, some family must be camping near us. No, I'm gonna think that I'm gonna get murdered or possessed by some demon. Someone knocking on your door during the day, it's annoying. Who the fuck is showing up at my house unannounced? It must be a salesman or worse, Mormons. That same knock at 3 in the morning? No, I'm getting murdered for sure. I'm on the 2nd floor, and my only way out is to jump out the window, so I'm done for.
What the heck? Y'all jumping out the window, seekers, man. Somebody attack you at 3 o'clock in the morning? Man, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. That's definitely an edit. Call them out.
Morbid Facts, Part 269. Actor and comedian David Spade has a tragic past. His dad walked out on him when he was a toddler, and his stepdad took his own life when he was a teenager. His first best friend died in a motorcycle crash, his second best friend Chris Farley died from an overdose, and his sister-in-law Kate Spade took her own life. Not to mention, David's own assistant once broke into his home and tased David while he was sleeping, forcing Spade to grab his shotgun and threaten to shoot. In 2012, Dutch taxidermist Bart Jansen turned his dead cat Orville into a functioning drone to pay tribute to the cat's love for birds. Jansen has since launched his own animal drone company that turns family pets into flying machines. In the original Friday the 13th, an actual snake was killed in the scene where one was found in the cabin. The snake's handler, who wasn't told that the snake would be killed for the movie, was incredibly upset and had to be held back by crew members when it happened.
Man, what the hell? Took it too far.
Probably keep you up at night. Number 1, your ears never stop growing. They get bigger and bigger the more you age. Number 2, during a person's lifetime, on average, a person spends 1 whole year sitting on the toilet. Number 3, in 1977, we received an audio signal from space that was 42 seconds long. To this day, we don't know where this audio signal came from. Number 4, raining animals. Throughout history, there have been documented instances of animal rain, a phenomenon where frogs, fish, and even spiders are swept up in waterspouts and then fall from the sky with raindrops. Number 5, the zone of silence is an area in Mexico where radio signals and any type of communication cannot be received or sent. Number 6, the boiling river. In the heart of the Peruvian Amazon lies a river so hot that it boils. The Chennai Tempishka River. It reaches temperatures up to 93 degrees Celsius or 200 degrees Fahrenheit.
Damn.
Number 7, the sleeping city of Kalachi. Residents of Kalachi, Kazakhstan, have been plagued by a mysterious condition that causes people to fall asleep for several days, often waking up with no memory of the episode. Investigations suggest that elevated levels of carbon monoxide and hydrocarbons due to uranium mines might be the cause, though no definite explanation has been established. Number 8, the Voynich manuscript. This mysterious book dates back to the 15th century. It is filled with writings of an unknown language or code and detailed illustrations of non-existent plants, astronomical diagrams, and strange human-like figures in bizarre contexts. Despite efforts of cryptographers and scholars, No one was able to solve these codes. We don't know what the book says. We don't know who wrote it.
These are the 5 scariest space facts. You've been warned. If a massive asteroid was headed for the Earth, the chances are there isn't really much we could do. At any moment, the sun could emit a coronal mass ejection aimed at the Earth, and if we weren't prepared for it, it could destroy the entire world's energy grid and leave us without power for years. There are black holes lurking in the shadows, roaming throughout our galaxy, and if one entered our solar system, it would be all over. When a star runs out of fuel, it can emit a gamma ray burst, and if a star within 3,000 light years of Earth happened to emit a gamma ray burst, and it was aimed at us, the ozone layer would be destroyed. Finally, every year there is more space junk created, putting us at risk of being trapped within the Earth.
How are we polluting space now too?
If you haven't heard about the extremely disturbing case known as the Girl Scout murders, then you may want to stick around. Viewer discretion is advised. In June of 1977, more than 100 girls headed off to Camp Scott in Locust Grove, Oklahoma, hoping for a summer filled with fun and newfound friendships. But little did these girls know that their dream would become short-lived extremely fast after a tragic event took place on the campgrounds. It was about 2 months before the incident occurred when a young camp counselor found a note in her belongings claiming that there was going to be 3 girls in one tent murdered this year while all the girls were attending camp. Knowing that the campers and other counselors like to play pranks on one another, she just dismissed the note and left it there as a joke. But little did she know that she would come to regret this very quickly when the tragic events began to unfold on the campgrounds. On the night of June 12, 1977, a storm blew through Oklahoma, leaving the girls to take cover and hide away in their sleeping bags to be protected from the bad weather. It wouldn't be until the next morning that a camp counselor would come and check on the girls after the storm and realize that 3 of them were stuffed deep down in their sleeping bags with bloody sheets and signs of strangulation, rape, and even mutilation. The 3 girls whose dead bodies were found in those sleeping bags were 8-year-old Lori Farmer, 9-year-old Michelle Goose, and 10-year-old Denise Milner. After the death of these 3 innocent girls, police and other law enforcement agencies rushed to the scene so that they could start their investigation and get to the bottom of who could have possibly targeted these 3 innocent girls. Discovered near the campgrounds was a cave that police would decide to go into, where they would find masking tape and 2 wedding photos, which seemed to be a very strange combination. After the photos were released to the public, an old prison employee actually called in, claiming that he has seen those photos before and he's almost certain he knows who committed these horrific acts on these young women. And he believed that the person behind these sick and twisted murders was a man by the name of Gene Leroy Hart, who was an escaped convict and convicted rapist back during the time of the Girl Scout murders. The crazy thing is, Hart was actually acquitted due to the lack of evidence on the police end, and he claimed that he was actually framed and that he did not commit the murders, even though there was trace evidence of his DNA found at the crime scene. And it's still unknown if Hart actually committed these murders or if he was actually just framed. And now, here in 2023, after the not guilty verdict years and years ago, there is new evidence that has arisen that Gene Leroy Hart was actually very closely linked with these murders.
Gotta wait all that damn time. Creepy cave seekers.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. Registered nurse Shirley Smith said that she had a very rich patient who was a true Satanist that was dying of cancer. The patient had upside-down crosses and a Satan's Bible by her bedside. Shirley said that she will never forget what happened. It was the middle of the summer, and yet it was so cold and dark in her room that you couldn't even stand it, even in the middle of the day. She said that it got so evil feeling in there that she had to call a priest to pray with her and her aides before they would even enter the room. When the patient passed away, She had not spoken in over 24 hours. And then all of a sudden, she sat straight up and said, "Satan, take me." And then she fell back on the bed. Shirley said that after she passed, the room got bright and extremely warm. Shockingly, when they moved the patient's body, they had to get rid of the mattress because where her body had been, it looked burnt. And the most horrible smell was emanating from the mattress cover. Needless to say, Shirley went to confession immediately because she did not want an evil spirit around her. A nurse said that one of their patients had a serious recurrence and had to be admitted. Over the course of several nights, he had become quite upset during rounds. He kept asking for his wallet, saying that he had to pay the ferryman. The medical student on rotation in the department took a quarter out of his pocket and put it in the patient's hand. The patient then dropped the coin into the cup on his bedstand and calmed down. Later that night, he passed away quietly. The nurse asked what happened. The medical student, who remembered his Greek mythology, said that the patient had to pay Karen, the ferryman, to be taken across the river Styx. A nurse said that he was doing rounds at a hospital. There was one two-patient room, and one of the patients was a very loud and confused woman who could be quite a handful. On this particular night, she had a roommate who had passed away shortly before the nurse entered the room. She was DNR, so there was no code blue. When he entered the room, he noticed that the elderly lady, who was usually very loud and confused, was sitting quietly with her hands crossed neatly upon her lap. Something was different, and there was this look of serenity on her face. She asked him in a voice that seemed much younger and clearer than before, "Did you see them, young man? They're so beautiful." He said, "No, ma'am, there's no one else here." She said, "They're right next to you, talking to Mrs. Banneker. The angels. They're so beautiful." He said that he instantly felt every hair of his body stand up and an electric tingle course up and down his spine. "They're not here for me this time," she said sadly.
Ooh. Okay. What are they here for then? Interesting question, Seekers, man. Maybe we want to have to try to find a follow-up to that. Insane story, Seekers. You guys, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys, man, hit that like button, man. Follow me on my social medias down below. Links will be in the description, man, so we always can stay connected together as a community. You guys now do daily uploads every single day, so always make sure you check the channel at least once time every single day. You can find a new upload. You guys can catch it in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, you too.